As you probably know from a lot of news and articles, North Korea is notorious for being one of the most rights repressive countries in the world. Led by Kim Jong, the people are brainwashed to thinking that he is the supreme leader and a god. The men and women who do not buy into this dictatorship are beaten, tortured, imprisoned, made to work, or sometimes even killed. This only describes some of the horrible violations that the government of North Korea inflicts on its devoted citizens. Hardly anything is being done by the country or the United Nations to help the people that are locked up in their own country. The government finds a way to spin these lies every time so that the people and the media do not see the real side of North Korea. According to the Human Rights Report fabricated by the United Nations, North Korea is currently breaking close to all of the official human rights, which is a horrible gauge on how their country treats their people. Freedom of movement is one of the most fundamental human rights. It accounts for how you live and travel, and if restricted, can throw off and ultimately change your way of life. Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states very clearly that everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. The two major borders of North Korea, the North and the South, are guarded with tanks, guns, and the ruthless force of the North Korean army. The citizens of the country are trapped and not allowed to leave unless they are allowed to by the government. Trying to escape could result in imprisonment or death by executionary methods. The country of North Korea is virtually doing nothing to aid its suffering citizens, and unless the government gets better or the United Nations steps in, the freedoms that all these people should have will never be granted to them. A documentary named The Defectors by Sky News tells about the horrible and perilous journey that the people must take to escape this horrible country. They must first cross the Yalu River if they make it there without being spotted by Border Patrol. Then, the defectors must make it through the entirety of China without being detected as North Korean refugees, because the Chinese government refuses to help these people. According to BBC News, there have been over 25,000 refugees that have fled to China over the past 2 decades. South Korea will welcome any of these North Korean defectors into their country with support and a citizenship, so this is the destination for most of the escapees. To get freedom, they have to make it through southern Asia, where planes and boats can then take them to South Korea. The country below North Korea is very open to the refugees, and like I said, will grant them citizenship and help them get on their feet in South Korea. Seoul, the capital of South Korea, and the place with the most defectors, is only 35 miles from the southern border of North Korea. These two nations have been in conflict for a long time. North Korea is a suffering nation ruled by this totalitarian dictator who hides what is really happening in lies and deception towards the public and the rest of the world. To help this country, the United Nations really should step in. Communications are very tight with North Korea because of the development of weapons and the unwillingness to open up about what is really going on there. They need to close their labor camps for good and let people travel by plane out of the country. This will end some of the horrible rights violations that are happening in present-day North Korea and will open up the country a whole lot more to other people. Finally, North Korea needs to be less protective about their borders. People should not have to escape the country that they were born and raised in. It is horrible how they still face the consequences for this act, and it really needs to be stopped. Freedom of movement might be one of the most important rights that a person owns, and everyone should have the ability to utilize it for their own good to go anywhere they go. Everyone should be able to utilize it for their own good anywhere they go. There are a lot of countries that limit the rights that people possess, and it is unjust and unfair. Rights should be a constant for everybody, anywhere on this earth, and the stopping of limitation in these God-given rights should be the top priority.